I didn't grow up in Belfast, but I grew up right on the border. And my, especially my early childhood, the conflict and the sort of the weight of everything that was happening was sort of omnipresent. We used to cross the border weekly and kind of go through army checkpoints and all of that. And, so I think when I first read this script, one of the things that sort of was the most, or impacted upon me the most, was just the compassion and the empathy that Ken had for this ordinary working class family who had not asked for this. And I think that, we've seen many, many great films about Northern Ireland and about the Troubles, but I think there's been an absence of films just about the everyday working class family who sort of got caught up among it. And, I felt honored that I was going to get to be part of something that was part of that conversation. Well, it's funny because, for me, growing up, it was something that you sort of, like I said, it was sort of a weekly thing, but it was something that you sort of passed through and left again. I never had that experience of it being on your street and in front of your house and being there all the time. And I think, there's that one scene where Ma's looking out the window and literally a tank rolls down the street. And, I remember just how viscerally, like, you were just kind of like, oh my God, how insane that must have felt. How one day you're living on a street where people are living side by side in peace and yes, people had differences, but it was just normal everyday life. And then the next day you have a tank on your street. I mean, I think the tragedy of what happened in I was left with that, with a sort of a realization of the tragedy, I think, and the enormity of the tragedy that we allowed this to happen for so long. And I think one of the things, in this sort of post-conflict time that we're in, how easily people forget that and how quickly people are willing to sort of jump on these easy slogans or something and put that in jeopardy. And I think it's a really good time right now to sort of have everyone remember that this is a precarious piece we have, and it's so important, and that we need to protect that. I'm at the stage where my son's just starting to laugh, and I've realized that I will never be funnier to anybody ever again in my life. And I'm just going to relish this moment where he thinks I am the most hilarious person. But yeah, same, I remember, my dad's 6'4", but when I was a kid, he just seemed like a giant, and I remember when he would like walk us along, and you couldn't believe that he was so tall, or he could like swing you so far. And it's such a beautiful thing that Ken was able to really tap into himself as a 9-year-old and be able to remember how it was like. Because I think so often when we become adults, we sort of forget how to look again at the world as we did as a child, and he's been able to really capture that so beautifully.